Hey, welcome to the BeMoHappy Show, the podcast that's all about boosting your happiness and helping you navigate life's challenges. I'm your host, Morris Mo Chasson, and I'm excited that you're here and being a part of this new season, Resilience Revolution. We'll be deep diving into the power of resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks, adapt to change, and thrive in the face of adversity. It's time to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth and unlock your inner strength. We will be joined by experts, thought leaders, and everyday heroes who have faced life's curveballs head on and came out stronger. Together, we'll explore practical strategies, share inspiring stories, and equip you with tools not just to survive, but to thrive in the midst of life's storms. So whether you're going through a tough time, seeking personal growth, or just looking for a daily dose of inspiration, join us in Resilience Revolution. Get ready for a season of empowerment, insight, and a whole lot of joy. This is the BeMoHappy Show. The Resilience Revolution starts now. So I have an amazing guest, Miss Misty, today. She's gonna be here to share some light and share some insights. So I'm happy that you're here, Misty. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us. So if you could just introduce yourself to the audience and let them know what you do and how you serve the world.
Okay, well, thank you for inviting me to be on your podcast today. My name is Misty Rhodes. I am a clinical hypnotist. I'm a Reiki master. I am a spiritual life coach, and I am a psychic medium. So I kind of have a lot of umbrellas, but they all fall in the same little clump, in the same little realm.
Spiritual life coach.
Yes.
I love that, Misty, because whenever I first became, I guess whenever I first started working with coaches, that was where I wanted to go towards like that spiritual, because I I fully believe that we're spiritual beings having like a human experience, and I think the thing is though, like I think some people, I posted this actually on my story just a little bit earlier, but some people reject what they don't know, right? So whenever you mention spiritual, people are like, well, no, you know what I'm saying? Not
Oh,
spiritual,
yeah.
like it's so weird. But
And that's part of the reason. So I do spiritual and I do clinical because you have these group of people that believe in the spiritual side of it. So like if you take like meditation is more of a spiritual side. Then you take hypnosis, and hypnosis is more in the clinical side. So you have some people that believe in meditation, some people that and won't believe in hypnosis, some people won't believe in meditation but believe in hypnosis. So I pretty much play off both parts when they're the exact same thing. Because
wow,
all hypnosis is the process of, it's just giving people suggestion. It's the process of suggestion. The same thing with
yeah,
meditation. The only difference
hmm
is with meditation, you breathe yourself into that state of awareness. With hypnosis, I count. That's the only difference.
yeah, that's crazy. That's wild. Something so simple, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So how long, like how old were you whenever you kind of like discovered your gift and like kind of what you want to do as far as helping people and
It's
coaching, and how long
it's
has it
kind
been?
of Well, it's kind of a rough story. So I had a pretty bad childhood, pretty bad life. Pretty much
Mhm.
anybody who was close to me has passed away. And with each passing, I would almost like, I would hear voices. I would sense voices. I would sense spirit, like sense, when you feel like somebody's watching you all the time.
Yeah.
So
hmm
like I would medicate. I thought I was schizophrenic. I was on antidepressants because I was having really bad anxiety and the stress of it all. And then 5 years ago in July, my sister passed away. We were 16 months apart. We were very close. My sister had a long history of alcoholism and drug abuse,
Oh,
and she initially passed away from congestive heart failure from all of the drugs and everything. And I zipped up the body bag, and I had a really hard time with it. And actually, that night, I had an out of body experience that my husband actually experienced as well. So I knew it wasn't just all in my head. So it was very, very, very crazy. We were riding in the car, and my sister's favorite song was Bobby McGee. So I turned it loud, and to me, I had my eyes closed and I was singing, the song. But in my head, I could see my sister dancing with me and singing with me. And we were just holding hands and dancing and singing. So I'm like, okay, I'm in my imagination. I'm just seeing my sister doing these things. Well, when the song went off, I thought I opened my eyes and I look over and my husband's looking at me like I have three heads. And I'm like, what? And he looked at me and he's like, what the just happened? And I said, what do you mean? And I said, I had my eyes closed and I was singing a song. He said, no. He said, you were staring straight ahead and with a blank look on your face. And I kept trying to like put my hand in front of your face. I kept trying to not, you wouldn't even respond. So I had an out of body experience. So from there, a friend of mine asked me to go see a medium with her. And I had mediums come to my house before because I've always had haunted houses, like, and all these ghosts in my house and stuff. And so I'd have mediums come to my house, and they were always a gazillion spirits in my house and stuff like that. And so I went to a medium with her, and the medium started talking about chakras and stuff like that. And I was like, what is a chakra? Well, that led me down this big old huge rabbit hole that night. So that night I started looking up chakras, which in return linked me with Reiki, which I found a Reiki class to take in Slidell. So then I signed up for that, and it just like snowballed after that. So I started with Reiki first. I started doing Reiki. And then as I was doing Reiki, my mentor was actually a psychic medium as well. So I started asking questions. Well, then that's when I started taking classes on that as well. And that's when I realized that all that anxiety I was feeling was actually when spirit was around me, and I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to perceive it. So I was trained on how to handle it, how to perceive it, how to block it out because it will drive you insane. I always use the analogy, how I relate a lot of things to movies because people can relate that way if you've seen a movie. Well, if you've ever
Mhm.
seen the movie Ghost with Whoopi Goldberg and Patrick Swayze, you know how whenever they the spirit world actually realizes she can actually hear them and they all show up. That's what happens to mediums, and it will drive you insane because you have no peace and quiet. They're constantly talking. I don't see them physically. I do every now and then, but I don't want no jump scare from no spirit. You stay over there, so I see them in my head like you would recall memories. So then I see them in my head and stuff like that. Well, then I learned how to block them out, how to live my life and do this on the side, like how to not have it consume me. And that was the hardest part. But then I had a friend tell me that my sister, and this was the hardest thing I think that I ever had to hear. My sister had to pass away so that I would do what I was meant to do. Because
Yeah.
before that, I just kept medicating and I kept blocking it out. And then 3 years ago in July, I made the decision to give up the corporate world, my degrees and all that, and do this full time because in the spiritual world, if you're not on the right state of mind and in the right frequency, how can you help someone? Well, my job was very stressful, and so I wasn't in the right state of mind to be able to help people the way I needed to help them. So I had to make a decision. So I made a decision to go full force and do this full time. And that was almost 3 years ago.
Wow, that's awesome. So crazy. I love that. I'm sorry you lost your sister for one, but I'm a big believer in like we don't lose anything because it's like always replaced, and it's even like whenever it comes to habits, I feel like we don't really kick habits. We just change it to something else, change our attention to something else where we stop doing this, but we replace it with this, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like you stop eating bad shit, you're gonna start eating better stuff, right? And
Correct.
it's I don't know, it's like that. I feel that because I lost my mom back in 2017, and that same year I lost my mom, I gained the career in sales, and I feel like that was something I always wanted to do, but always felt like I couldn't do because I didn't have the right mouthpiece, or like I didn't believe that I could do it because like who would like me, like who would actually buy a vehicle from me or whatever, you know what I mean? And it was just all those limiting beliefs, you know. But then I got to a point where like I was like, I could do this. Like people like me. Like I'm cool. Like I'm a likable person. You know, I'm relatable. Like I genuinely love people, and I genuinely want to help people. So I could do this. You know. So, but anyways, it was for me. Like thinking back, I lost my mind, but I gained sales and experience and knowledge of people because you know the interactions with people helped me understand myself a lot more as well too. You know. So
Well, I look at it as we all have seasons. We go through seasons of our lives, and sometimes things have to change up because, I mean, you can't stay dormant. You can't stay the same. And the universe is going to make you uncomfortable to make you change.
absolutely.
And you just either have to roll with it or you get left behind.
Yeah, that is so true. Like I, I feel so bad for some people that get stuck in those. I actually journaled about this just the other day, but somehow some people would get stuck in their feelings about a certain event or something like that, like a traumatic experience, where I feel like in a sense they emotionally, intellectually, like they don't grow anymore because they stay stuck at that one moment that like really fucked them up and caused trouble. And until they move on from that one time, that one moment, that first instance, that you know that negative emotion was sprung upon, like if you don't heal from it, like it's just gonna keep coming back. It's like the roots of a tree. Like
Hmm.
if you don't kill that root, it's gonna always come back somewhere, you know. So this healing shit from like the the very core of it, that's where it's at, you know. I don't know why I even went there. I'm sorry. I just
No, it's
I
good because
always
it's true though, because like I deal with it a lot with hypnosis because I get a lot of people who have PTSD and things like that from hypnosis, and they have a lot of trauma. But the thing that people don't understand when they're trying to heal from their trauma is you have to learn to deal with the day-to-day things before you can bring up the absolute worst things. Because if you can't handle your day-to-day life, don't bring up that stuff that was the shit show to begin with, because then you're just layering more and more onto it. So that's how I
mhm,
handle a lot of things with people who are having PTSD and stuff. First of all, we have to get you to be able to handle life today before
right.
we bring you back to yesterday. You know, a lot of people get stuck in that cycle. They really do. They really get
Hmm.
stuck in it.
Man, what are your thoughts on like the percentage of people that has PTSD? Because, in my opinion, nearly every single person, like everybody, has something that they deal with and some kind of trauma, or you know, like just something that some experience or something that happened to them. But whenever I looked up the stats, I think they say only 6 or 7% of people actually suffer from PTSD. It's either 6% or 6 or 7% of males, something like that. But I was like, bro, like that's mind blowing to me because I think way more people suffer with PTSD than you
Oh,
know.
definitely. And I think more it's kind of taboo too still. I mean, it's a thing that, the because I'm older. I mean, I'm almost 50. So I grew up in a time where you didn't talk about those things. You just suppressed your feelings. So now
True,
they're
true.
starting to talk more about it. People are starting to be more open about it. You don't have all the family secrets that you had before that you were supposed to keep. And so everybody's breaking all these generational traumas and speaking out now. So I think probably within the next couple of years, that number is probably going to triple because
Yeah.
people are starting to get where they talk, and you have social media and you have this. It's easier for somebody to sit behind a keyboard and type out their feelings than it is for them to talk one on one. So I think that that's going to be more mainstream than anything. And I think that that's what causes a lot of the hostility we have now, because people are so easily accessible to hide still. They hide their, they can be opinionated as much as they want with a fake persona. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But nobody does anything face to face anymore. And I think that's going to cause more trauma later on down the road, because people don't know how to handle their feelings because they hide. They hide behind
Hmm.
keyboards. They hide behind this. They hide behind video games. They don't know how to process that trauma. And that's what I try to help with the meditation class that I do, is to help people be able to deal with their emotions, feel your emotions, but not live in your emotions.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something, and it may sound like a psychopath in a sense, but I hate to say this, but I feel like all the emotions and stuff is not real, and it doesn't fucking matter because we're spiritual beings, right? Sure, the emotions are real. We experienced it, blah, blah, blah. Yes, but will any of that shit really matter in a year or 2 years? You know what I'm saying? In most cases, fuck no, it won't. So why the
And
fuck does it matter? You know what I'm saying?
And see, but that's where people get stuck at, because they get so concerned about what's going on tomorrow that they forget to live for today. And so
Absolutely.
people get stuck in
Facts.
that. They get stuck in that cycle, but they get stuck in that cycle because they're conditioned to stay in that cycle. They're
Hmm.
told that they're supposed to worry about the future. They're told they're supposed to have a 5-year plan. They're told they're supposed to do this. Just 2 days ago, I went change my life insurance beneficiaries to take my kids off and just have me and my husband. And my daughter's like, well, that's not fair. If you die, I said, well, if I die, my husband's still there. He needs that income. You are not making money off of me because I'm dying. And it's like that, but that's the mindset, that's the mentality that everybody has nowadays. And the whole thing is I used to be one of those people that constantly worried, constantly worried, constantly worried. Okay, I worried about death, I worried about this, I worried about, well, what if I die next week? What's going to happen to my child? What's going to do? Those are valid questions, but they're not to stay there. Nothing is promised. And when people realize that you agreed to this life before you were even born and brought onto this world, it makes things so much simpler. It makes those things more bearable to help you just roll with the punches. I mean, why are you going to save up thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to do when you're retired when you don't even know if you're going to be alive next week? Live your freaking life for today.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. It's no time like the present time because like you said, like we don't know if we're gonna be here tomorrow. So that's something I struggle with is, and I unfortunately, like I unfollow people or stop. Like if somebody's posting like negative stuff or like they're like constantly grieving about somebody or something like that, like it breaks my heart to see, and I wish I could help them, but like for me, like grieving is a special process for certain people, like, but me, I don't know, like I just feel like move the fuck on, like you, the longer you sit in and fester in it, the longer you cause yourself trouble, like depression.
But
And I'm
sometimes you have to understand that that's their path.
yeah, 100%, but me,
But
like
you don't have to participate in it.
exactly. So that's why I'm like, hey, you go ahead and do your thing, like
I do the same.
because it's just negative.
I offer help. I offer help. Just like whenever, if anybody on my timeline pops on my timeline and I see that they've been diagnosed with cancer or diagnosed with something detrimental or something scary, I offer a free Reiki session to them. I'm like, hey, this will help calm your nerves. It'll help settle you down a little bit. Please come try it. Some people take me up on it, some people don't, but I offered. Just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
whenever I see people stressing really bad, I'll offer. I give more free sessions than anybody should even allow, but I'll offer. Hey, look, I'll inbox them. Hey, look, this can help with this. Why don't you try this? And if they don't, and they like, because some people just like to stay in that state of shit show. They just like that. They
100%.
thrive
Yeah.
on that.
Hmm.
And so if they
But
don't want to, then that's your business. You stay over there. I'm gonna stay over here,
mhm.
but I don't want to see it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because where I feel like they like it, they hate it too at the same time, but they've been stuck in it for so long. Whenever something new and better comes up and it feels good, but then it feels weird because they're like, I don't know about this, you know what I'm saying? And then like they just revert back to the same
Well, yeah,
Oh shit, that feels
self-sabotage.
comfortable. Absolutely.
I've done it for years.
Absolutely.
I've
Hmm.
been there. I've done it for years. I can sympathize with you, but I will only sympathize with you for so long because it's your own shit show, not mine.
Right,
And
right,
that's how
right.
I look at it. I
Hmm.
do it with my kids. I do it with my husband. My husband will sit there constantly, oh, my shoulder hurts, my shoulder hurts. Okay, come get Reiki. I know it will help you. You know it will help you. No, I'm okay. Well, then shut up. I don't want to hear it. I
Right.
offered a solution. You won't accept it. Shut up. I don't want to hear it. And that sounds bad, but you're not bringing my vibe down because you want to bitch, basically. That's
Yes.
how I look at it.
Mhm. It's the exact same thing that I was just saying about, just snoozing those people for 30 days or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. And like, of course, I've tried to help. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why it hurts me so much because I've tried to help,
Hmm.
and then like we agree on something or whatever, and like you're still festering in fucking negative stuff. Like you're never gonna go anywhere if you keep festering into that negative bullshit because
But until
that's
they're ready to fix it, then it's going to stay that way. No amount of anything we say. I mean, I have friends
yeah,
that I
yeah,
have my own little bullshit and I do the same thing to them. So, I mean, we're all guilty of it, you
yeah,
know,
absolutely,
but we're all allowed to call our own energy back too and to distance ourselves from it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's, I get so disgusted with people whenever they post things. And I know I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, but I hate the analogy that it's your family. You still have to love them and you still have to deal with it. No, I don't.
Fuck
I
that.
will love you from a fucking distance.
Hmm.
And people get so mad at me because I don't have a relationship with my mother. Okay. And tried several times, can't do it. So I had to distance myself from my mother. Well, then you have your people, oh, well, it's your mom. You only have one mom. Well, you know what? She only has one daughter left and she's doing the same shit to me. So she can stay over there and I'll stay over here. I hate when people say that, just because they're your relative or just because they're this does not mean that they're allowed to fuck your world up. You
Facts.
stay over there, I'm gonna stay over here. I love you, but I'm gonna love you from a distance. You go, you know.
Yep.
And that's hard for people to do, and that takes a lot of courage. It
You
takes a
know,
lot of courage.
I think people don't understand that because those people don't truly understand energy and how energy works. Because if you understood how energy works, I think you would be like you are, and not like how I am, where you like, I don't give a fuck who you are, like family, brother, sister, mom, wife, husband. Like if your energy is not good for me, I'm not fucking with you straight up. You know what I mean? Like
Correct.
I'm
Life's too
distance.
short. You're not bringing me
Yeah.
down with you. Plain
I'm
and
distance.
simple.
I'm distancing myself, or I'm spending as least time as possible with that negative environment and the negative people.
They're
Is my
called
opinion.
energy suckers. They will suck every last bit of energy out of you because misery loves company. So they're going to bring you down to their level. Don't allow it, you know.
Right.
But that
Right.
takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of strength. And you have to mourn the loss of that person, especially if it's a relative, that you're
Hmm.
really close to. But it sucks. Life sucks, but you can't stay there and you can't sit there and beat a dead horse either. I mean, you can't change my opinion. I can't change your opinion. So you need to go here and I'll go here.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, it's so crazy because it happens a lot. And I think part of the growth journey, I think it happens, because as you elevate, and some people kind of stay back in that same stuck mindset, where they don't evolve. So like you're like, dang, okay, well I'm not gonna stay there where they're at. I'm fucking keep going, because
Oh yeah,
it's just
well, I mean, like I
just
said,
better.
that you work in seasons. Those people were part of that season. Now you're in another season. Sometimes they come with you, sometimes they stay behind. When I got into the spiritual world stuff, I lost a lot of friends,
Oh yeah, absolutely,
so-called
one hundred
friends.
percent.
I lost a lot of friends, and that was hard for me because I did a lot with my friends, and now I don't do hardly anything. I'm more to myself now than I was before, but I had a lot of friends. I had a lot of places I went, a lot of things I did. But then these people who know I could always call them on their bullshit. It just wasn't common knowledge like it is now. You know what I'm saying? I know what's going on in people's lives. I choose not, it's not my business. So I choose to ignore it. But all of these people who are no longer my friends, know that I could call them out on their bullshit now, but I could do it before, but I was still your friend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just not tolerating it anymore. And so
Hmm.
there's the difference, you know. And then, like I said, that comes with growth. That comes with, it's a lot of being spiritual is a lot of responsibility because you
Yes,
absorb
yes.
everything and anything, and sometimes it's easier to just ignore it. It
Hmm.
really is. It sucks, but sometimes it's easier to just ignore it.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think that like you may deep down inside suffer in a sense because you don't have that relationship with your mom, or you feel like you're like, I'm good without her, you know? Like
I mourn
truthfully.
the I mourned the loss of my mom years ago. My mom was an alcoholic, a narcissist. I hung on because it was me, my brother, and my sister, and we all have different dads, so we're half siblings, but we never looked at each other half. We grew up together. My sister and I were 16 months apart. My brother and I are 7 years apart. Whenever my mom and my stepdad, which I call my dad, got a divorce, I had already moved out. My brother had just graduated high school and I had already been gone. But it was like it was my responsibility to take care of my mom, you know, because she had nothing. And it was my responsibility. And I felt like it was my responsibility. My mom had me when she was 16. So basically, like, I guess she grew up, but I want to say trying to raise me, but she didn't. It was just a whole big old shit show. And so there was a lot of, my mom had a lot of hate for me to where I ruined her life.
Oh
So
goodness.
that's how I grew up with I ruined
Mm,
her life. So that
mm,
whenever I did something good, I literally got told, like, whenever, so years ago, like in my early 20s, I had my daughter. I wasn't married. I was in a relationship, but I wasn't married. I have two daughters. I have a 26-year-old and I have a 10-year-old. So I have a 16-year gap with my kids.
wow, wow.
But so when I was with my daughter's dad, we never got married. But then I left him, and then I got married to someone else, and we were very well off. Built a house, all this stuff. I went back to college, all kinds of stuff. And my mom had the nerve to call me and say, "I can't believe that you have a new house and you have a new car and you're going back to school and you're doing this and you're doing that, and I don't have shit." What mom says that? Like, I would never tell that to my daughter. I would be happy
Right.
for my daughter. I would be rooting
Absolutely.
you on, but that was my mom. And then her and my sister pretty much fed off of each other with the drugs and the alcohol. And it was so when my sister passed away, well, my sister took on the responsibility of taking care of my mom. She's like, if I don't do it, nobody will, but I was there too. And my brother just completely walked away from the whole situation. My brother is like my dad. He just doesn't, if you ignore it, it doesn't exist, basically. So
Mm,
my
mm.
brother walked away from the situation. And then when my sister passed away, I had to handle everything. I had to handle the funeral. I had to make sure the funeral was paid for. I had to do all that. Well, someone anonymously donated my sister's funeral services and asked me not to say anything. So I kept their wishes. Well, that pissed my mom off. And so I didn't tell my mom because she's not to be trusted with anything or with money. And then whenever someone came up to me and wanted to give me a check to pay for things, I said, well, the service has already been paid for. So he wrote me a check for, like, I think $1,000 or something. He said, well, get whatever you need. And I said, okay. So I got, like, I rented a fire station to do a dinner, and stuff like that. Cause we did a remembrance for my sister. I didn't want
Mhm.
people to be sad. I wanted him to remember her life because at one point my sister was an awesome person. And so I wanted people to remember her. And so we did that. Well, then my mom went around town telling everybody that I took all the money from my sister's funeral for myself
Wow.
and went around telling everybody that. So I decided right then and there that I was done. I had enough. And so I didn't talk to my mother for 3 years. Well, 2 years. I'm sorry, 2 years. And then I got a call because my mom gets these little internet friends that think she's just the best person in the world when she lies to them. And telling me that I'm a bad daughter and that my mom had cancer and all this stuff. Well, of course, it played on my heartstrings. So then I reconnected with my mom for her to just take advantage of me all over again. I had to miss work because she ended up having to have her leg amputated. all kinds of stuff like that. My mom's literally put together with rubber bands and bubble gum. How this woman is still alive, I have no freaking clue. But I believe that you live your hell. So she is utterly miserable living her hell right now. And until she admits that all of her wrongdoing, she is going to continue to live her hell. So I had to distance myself again. So people ask me all the time, do you feel guilty about not having a relationship with your mom? I feel pissed more than guilty. I'm pissed because I missed out on having a mom, and that's the part. And the mom I did have got killed in a car accident. So the person who I did look after is like my mom, which was my godmother, and she got killed in a car accident over 20 years ago.
Oh,
So yeah,
wow.
I feel cheated more than anything. If my mom dies tomorrow, I'll have no regrets about anything I did. Nothing.
Hmm.
I mourned her loss a long time ago. So, I mean, you can't really say when none of your kids want to talk to you, you kind of have to figure you're the problem. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
but she doesn't. It's us. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, and we live in the same town. We live in the same town. She lives down the road, and I don't see her. I don't talk to her. Every now and then, she'll reach for stones and send me some stupid ass text message, asking something stupid, and I just don't even respond to her. And
Dang.
like she has lung cancer. She was a smoker since she was probably 9, but she blames everybody in every environmental factor for her lung cancer except for the fact that she was a smoker.
That's crazy. It's wild. Something I learned through the journey of like, helping people and talking to a lot of people is that narcissists most of them are unable to change because they can never see fault within themselves.
Hmm.
It's always somebody else's fault, right?
Hmm.
And yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah,
it's
she was dealt the hand she was dealt because I ruined her life because she had me when she was 16.
mhm, that's
So
crazy.
yeah, but I just you stay there, I stay here. I have a really good mother-in-law. My mother-in-law lives next door, so I mean it's okay.
Let me ask you a question. Another question, kind of relating to that.
Sure.
So you feel anger? You said, is
Hmm.
that something really?
I feel
What do we have to
anger.
do? What do we have to do to let go of that anger? Because we don't want you. We don't
I know,
want
and I let it
resentment,
come and
anger.
go. It
You
comes
know.
and goes.
Hmm.
I think I'm more angry at myself. I have the forgiveness. I need to forgive myself because I allow it to continue to happen. I'll go 2 years, won't talk to her, then I'll let her back in. Then I get angry because it's like a cycle. It just starts all over again. So I get more angry with myself, I think, than angry with her because she is who she is. She won't
Yeah.
change who she is.
Hmm.
But I'm angry with myself because I allow it to continue to happen. But I've pretty much come to terms this time that I'm just done. Like I'm literally just I've done this so many times that I'm over it.
Hmm.
I'm literally over it. And so when I say I'm angry, it's not to the fact that like I'm holding on to that anger and that bitterness.
Right.
It's I get mad at myself when I allow it to happen, but I cut it off again. So I'm not angry right now. It's basically only when I allow it to happen, if that
Gotcha.
makes
Gotcha.
sense.
Yeah. 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 I get it. You're like, fuck. Why did I do that
Yeah,
again? Yeah.
right. It's like you know better, but you're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And then that's the anger part that I get. I get mad at myself. I get frustrated with myself, but it's because I show empathy for her, and I'm an empathetic person, and she's my mom. I mean, but honestly, there's they'll always, I mean, she's my mom, so they'll always hold that little chunk there. But in the same sense, you're my mom. You shouldn't have put me through all this shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's where that anger comes from. But right now, I'm good. She's over there, I'm over here, and I'm not dealing with it. I get every now and then I get reminders because she has me for some ungodly reason listed as her emergency contact when I tell her, I don't know why you have me as an emergency contact because I'm gonna pull the plug. Like, I joke with her and tell her that. But what was the icing on the cake was whenever last year the emergency room called me. She was in ICU. She had to get her leg amputated, and when I showed up to the I guess the caseworker called me or whatever. Well, when I showed up to the ICU, I asked my aunt to come with me, which my aunt has cut her off too, her sister. And I asked my aunt to come with me because I didn't want to go by myself because I hadn't talked to her in 2 years. And my aunt came with me. And when we walked into the ICU, the nurse said, "Well, what's your relationship?" I said, "Well, I'm her daughter and this is her sister." And she's like, "Well, what's your name?" So I told her my name. I said, "Misty Rhodes." Well, my married name is Rothman, but I never legally changed it. So in her court, like on her papers, in the system, it said Misty Rothman. Well, my mom should know that that's not my last name, but she didn't. And then underneath in relationship, in parentheses, it had friend.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
And yeah, and the
Dang.
nurse just looked at me and she's like, "And you're her daughter?" I said, "I ought to not be. I ought to just walk away," but I didn't because I let my empathy get in the way. But all of those things start stacking up, and then you just had enough and walk away,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll get the call still, and I'm like, "I'm sorry, I don't speak to my mother. Here's her phone number," and because she's constantly changing her phone number and stuff, I'm like, "I don't speak to her. Here's her phone number. Please take me off the list." So when she dies, I don't know who they're going to call because she's running out of people.
Dang.
And that's
Yeah.
sad. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Yeah. It sucks because like I'm that person that always says they did the best they could with what they had, and what they knew. And sometimes I feel like people don't do their best.
You
They
still
just
have to hold accountability. You have to have
yeah.
accountability. Because I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah,
Absolutely.
she kind of had some shitty things happen to her,
Of
but
course,
she had
yes.
to have accountability for her
Mm-hmm.
actions. I mean,
Yeah.
if that was the case, okay, I grew up in a shitty household. My sister, us being only 16 months apart, they say you do what you know. Yeah, but I didn't turn that path. My sister did. My brother and I went the other direction. So that's
Mm-hmm.
bullshit. When people tell me that you're a product of the way you were raised, and no, you have the choice. You
Yeah, you
have
got
the choice.
decisions.
Yes, and
Mm-hmm.
I chose not to do that. My brother chose not to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They chose to do it. That was their decision. Nobody made it for them. And I don't. My dad was my real dad was an alcoholic and a drug addict. He died when he was in his 30s, and my mom was a drug addict and an alcoholic. So I'm not. I do neither. I do know I have an addictive personality. That's why I don't do it. But I've learned, and you have to make those choices. You have to choose. So
So I
that's what
gotta
I get.
no, it's good. I'm happy for you that you're able to move on from that and not really, hold on to it and have grudges and, hold on to resentment of anything, because at the end of the day, like it doesn't matter, kind of like I said earlier. So I got to look a couple questions about resilience. This season is all about resilience, but what is resilience for you?
Not
What is
giving up.
not giving up?
Giving
And
up. And actually, I had a friend tell me one time because I'll get in my head sometimes, and like whenever I slow down and I'm not making any money or I'm not doing anything, and I have a friend that told me one time when I said, "Well, maybe I should just quit," and he's like, "That's not even part of the option, like that's not even an option. Like, why would you even say that? That's not an option. You either move forward or you figure something else out. That's not an
yeah,
option to quit."
one of the great philosophers I used to follow, Bob Proctor. Have you ever heard of Bob Proctor by chance?
No, I haven't.
Okay, he was like this like big coach, like business type coach back in like the 80s. Probably the 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s. He died like in 2018 or something like that, 2019. But anyways, he basically talked about either creating or disintegrating, so if if you're not creating the better life or whatever, you're basically just dying. And it's kind of like living and dying, kind of, you know what I mean? Like, how like some people in that present moment, like you're just living and you're doing stuff and living your best life, kind of, and then you have somebody that's depressed, where they're kind of like disintegrating,
Mm-hmm.
so like they're basically slowly dying, because this disease in the mind causes disease in the body, right? Do you believe that?
Yes, I do. I think about it, think about years and years ago. Think about 50, 60 years ago. All of these autoimmune diseases, all of these things, they didn't exist back then. Where are they coming from? We're creating them ourselves
Yeah,
from
yeah.
stress, from anxiety, from environmental factors, all of those things, then we can heal them. If we created them, we can heal them.
Yeah, that's so
Think
fact.
about
That's
when you're
so
think
true.
about when you're sad. Think about, okay, years ago I was in a bad marriage, okay? And I look back on my Facebook timeline. I was always bitching I was sick. I had a stomach ache. I had a headache. I didn't feel good. I didn't this. Think about when you're unhappy. Think about when you're depressed. Think about how you feel when you're unhappy and depressed. Your stomach hurts. You might have a sore throat. You have a headache. You want to stay in bed. You have some kind of excuse to keep you down. When you're
Hmm.
happy, you're thriving. You're going, those things don't bother you. Those things don't hold you down. So a lot of time you're manifesting your own ailments
Yeah,
because of it,
facts. Hmm. Yep.
and people don't realize that,
Yeah.
that you can manifest your own ailments. My my uncle, my aunt got in a car accident and passed away, okay? Well, she was in a coma for a year. My uncle exercised every day of his life. He ate healthy, all of these things, okay? Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, my aunt got in a car accident. She was in a coma for a year. He devoted his time to taking care of her, worrying about her. In that 1 year, he was diagnosed with diabetes and a brain tumor.
Uh,
1 year.
stress.
Stress.
Hmm. Hmm.
Stress. Now he has Bell's palsy, like all of those things. And people don't understand where they're coming from. Think about it.
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know?
Anytime somebody says they have an autoimmune disorder, like it breaks my heart because I don't know, because they don't realize that it's something, that
Well, not
I
only
mean,
that, if you give
sometimes I don't
and
know.
you give attention to it. Think about it.
Hmm.
If you have a mosquito bite on your arm and you're constantly thinking about that mosquito bite, it's going to constantly itch, right? But when
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
don't think about it, it stops itching. Those are the same thing. I walk upstairs every day to come into my studio, and some days I hurt, and I'm like, "Oh, great!" I said, "I probably have fibromyalgia," because that's the first thing you think of is your whole body hurts. But then I'm like, I don't have time for that shit. So then I just block it out and I just keep going. Some people don't have that ability, and I'm not saying that. Some people don't have that ability, but sometimes you give things more attention and it escalates it a little bit more. When I had
Absolutely.
COVID years ago, when COVID first came out, my doctor told me that the biggest thing was people having panic attacks, and that's what was causing the breathing problems because you
Hmm.
don't know what to expect. You don't know. And so you're constantly freaking yourself out, which will cause you to have a panic attack, which will cause you can die. You're not getting any
Hmm.
oxygen to your
Yeah,
brain,
you can have a heart
And
attack, and
exactly.
yeah,
And those
it's
things
wild.
are just factors. It's like a snowball. You're pushing a snowball down the hill and it just keeps adding up and adding up and adding up.
Yep,
You have to decide. You can't always change an outcome, but you can change how you react to it.
that's facts right there. Oh my
And I
goodness,
tell that
that
to
that's
everyone. It takes 90 seconds to get past a reaction. If you can get past that reaction, then it can go in one ear and out the other. I usually teach all of my clients a technique that when they have intrusive thoughts, to count your breaths going in and count your breaths going out. If you do that and probably run about 5 cycles, whatever that thought was that was in your mind, then already went out because you're concentrating on your breathing.
hmm
And that's how you handle intrusive thoughts. That's the first thing I teach anybody that comes in my studio. That's the first thing I teach them. The first thing I
yeah,
teach them.
that's awesome. I think Joe Dispenza. Are you familiar with Joe Dispenza by chance?
I'm horrible with remembering names. So if I read
Okay,
it, I probably am familiar, but just don't recall the name.
okay. He wrote these two books that I'm pretty familiar with. One of them's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and the other one is becoming supernatural. And in Becoming Supernatural, he talks about emotions being energy and motion, and the emotions are made to flow through us, right? And it shouldn't sit with us. And that's, kind of like where the diseases come from. I'm sorry, I don't know
Hmm.
why I went back to there, but
Somebody needed to hear it.
yeah, I guess so, because I don't even know where I was going with
I'll
it,
go on,
honestly.
yeah, I'll go on tangents sometimes, like when I have a class or even make meditation class or something, and I'll get on this tangent and I'll say something, and I'm like, I don't even know why I said that, but then I have to remember that you don't have to ask why. Somebody needed to hear it at that moment.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. I got another question on resilience. What advice would you give to someone going through a tough time to enhance their resilience?
Well, I mean, each situation is different, so it just depends um, on their level. But the first thing you have to find out from that person is if they even want the help. Because if you're sitting here trying to help them and they don't want the help, you're wasting your time and energy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the first thing I always think. But I usually tell people, like, again, I just kind of repeat what my friend told me. Quitting is not an option. You just have to find a different way to do it. You have to figure out a different way to handle it. You have to figure out a different way to overcome it. And we can't always, like I said, I've lost everybody close to me, and I've grieved longer than others. I still grieve my sister every now and then, but you can't stay in that area. Some people get stuck in that loop to where they can't move on. And I just basically, whenever it comes to like loss, because that's what I deal with a lot, people who have lost loved ones. So in my instance, if I have somebody who's, just wanting to give up and, the loss, I tell them, I actually talked with a friend yesterday who lost her mom, and she was so hung up on the fact that she couldn't enjoy her life because as soon as she'd enjoy her life, she would remember her mom was dead. And I said, yeah, I said, I get that, but you have to understand when your mom was physically here, she couldn't see all those things you're doing right now. Now she's in the spiritual realm. She can see everything you do. She can be your biggest cheerleader and you don't even know that. So it's just taking something that's already there, but seeing it in a different way
Hmm.
and understanding it in a different way. And that's how you don't give up. You find another way. You find what works for you. And it could be just one little word that one person told you that completely can change the way you see or think of something.
Yeah, that is so true. Perspective, because
Mm-hmm.
perspective, the way I look at perspective is not reality, because your perspective and my perspective could be completely different. And it doesn't mean that you're wrong or I'm wrong. It's just perspective. So
Correct. Yeah,
I
and I'm not going to change the way you see it and you're not going to change the way I see it, but we can come to a we can come to an agreement that we disagree. And
yeah.
that's where people have a problem. That's where
Oh
people
my
have a problem.
God. Yes. Like, yeah, look, that's something I kind of, I don't know, I guess I get frustrated with in a sense is whenever somebody else gets upset because I don't believe the same thing that they believe.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man, but I
Yeah.
can't. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I'm not with that.
Exactly.
And I don't know. I don't get I don't know. I personally don't get upset about perspective because I guess
It's
it's more
pointless.
understanding.
It, yeah, and but that comes with a level of maturity too that people don't
Yeah,
understand.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's not it, and I think that has a big part of it.
Hmm.
Understanding comes with a level of maturity,
Hmm.
and people just don't want to see that.
Hmm.
And
Absolutely.
people change,
Hmm.
and I've changed a lot from where I was 5 years ago. And my daughter seems to still get hung up on the person I was back then. And some people still get hung up on the person I was back then. But people change.
Yeah.
Your perspective changes. You grow up, you evolve, you move on. My husband and I think I've told you that before, my husband and I have a difference in religion now. Since I've become spiritual, he's hell bent Catholic, and so we butt heads sometimes with that thing. And he's like, you're not the person that you were when we got together. Well, hell no, that was 13 years ago. I hope I'm not the same person I was 13 years ago.
Yeah. For
So you
real.
have to change. You have to
Hmm.
change, and you have to evolve, but you also have to decide if you're going to do it together or not.
Yeah, that's tough sometimes. In relationships and any relationship, truly, it's part of the journey, I guess. Part of
It
growth.
is.
And so, Misty, where can people find you at? If somebody wants to reach out to you, or somebody wants to do meditation or Reiki healing.
Yeah, I offer several different things. I touched a little bit on it. I do crystal light bed therapy, which is infrared therapy. I do Reiki sessions, which is energy healing that helps with mind, body, and soul. Um, I deal a lot with frequencies, trying to heal inner frequencies, resetting your frequencies. I do sound healing. I have crystal singing bowls. I have oxygen bar. I do hypnosis. I do meditation classes. I also have a partnership with a yoga instructor, and we do restorative yoga twice a month. And that is basically the act of doing absolutely nothing. So for a whole hour and a half, it's awesome. And I offer meditation classes weekly. I have a male class and a female class, so that males can be just as comfortable as females can in a class. I have a Facebook page, Energy Work with Misty. You can look up, and I also have a website. It's energyworkwithmisty.com. So you can see all my services on my website. You can book on my website. I don't always have all of my appointments listed on my website. So you can contact me personally on Facebook. My phone number is listed everywhere. So, I don't mind at all. A lot of people inbox me for appointments. I am very flexible with appointments. I try to make it where I can fit anyone and everyone in. So Mondays through Fridays, I usually work from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. And then on Saturdays, I usually work from 8 to 12 or 1. Some days I work all Saturday. Don't be afraid to ask if there's a time or, that you can't make it. Sometimes I work on Sundays. We give a lot of classes and workshops on Sundays. We're actually giving a self-love workshop next Saturday for women. It's going to be an awesome workshop. We are doing journal prompts, things like that, because how can you love someone else if you can't love yourself?
It's so true. I learned that probably like the last 2 years. Yeah, that's facts. So next Sunday you having that self-love thing for
Next
women?
Saturday, I'm
Oh, next
having the
Saturday. Okay.
workshop. Saturday, the 17th, the workshop is from 9 to 11. We keep our workshops and our classes very small because we want it to be a personable experience. We want you to enjoy it, and it's a safe space.
Yeah.
So people come in, they talk. Sometimes for meditation class, I get kids all the way from age 12 to age 70. It just all depends. It's just like-minded people who just want to, they might have questions. I'm always free to answer questions. Um, I also offer medium services, so people who want to connect with their loved ones who have passed, I do that. I do card readings, but I do them a little different. So I do oracle card readings, and I read on the positive. So if somebody came up to me and asked me if their spouse is cheating, I'm not going to answer that because it's none of your damn business. And I freak people out when I say that. And this is why I say it's none of your damn business. Because if your spouse came to me and asked me a personal question about you, would you want me to answer it? No. It's none of your damn business. What goes on in that person's head is theirs. What goes on in your head is yours.
Right,
So
right.
I don't deal with that. Plus, that's that he said, she said shit, and I ain't getting into all of that. But I
Yeah.
keep it on the I
Same.
keep it on the positive. So if you're getting your cards read and you just want direction, okay? If you're stuck, you're stagnant, you want direction in your life, and I see you're about to lose your job, I'm not going to say, oh my God, you're about to lose your job. I'm going to tell you, hey, do you have a career change coming up? I'm going to keep it on the positive because you still have free will. You can change this. But if I give you something negative, then you're going to just pull that negative. But if
Yeah,
I
yeah.
give you positive, you're going to make it the best you can possibly be. And that's what
Mm.
I strive is to help everyone be the best they can possibly be. And that's why we're offering that self-love workshop. It's we have 10, well, I think we are down to six or four spots. I'm not sure, but it's going to be a 2 hour workshop. Everybody's going to get their own little journal and they get to decorate their journal with positive affirmations and stuff. We're going to do a lot of self-reflection, a lot of self-healing. So it's going to be a very awesome class. Very awesome.
That's cool.
And if you
That's
want to
awesome.
sign up, you can look me up on Facebook. You can, it's not on my website, but you can check it out on Facebook. It's actually under the events in the area. And I'm located in Thibodeau.
Nice. Awesome. Good. I'm asking another question on
Okay.
resilience. How do you encourage a positive mindset in the face of ongoing challenges?
The first thing that I usually ask myself or I ask anybody is if in 2 years, is this going to matter? And if it's not going to matter, then I'm not going to put that much energy into it. I'm a procrastinator. I, I'll tell anybody and everybody I'm a procrastinator. I work best that way. I have that workshop on Saturday. I'll be doing the PowerPoint Friday night at midnight. I work better that way. That's just how I am. So anytime that I am tasked with problems, I usually wait till the absolute last minute, but I work better that way. But when
Mm-hmm.
I'm helping other people, I try to get people to step, and I don't like to use the word try. That's actually a word that my daughter and I don't have in our vocabulary, because when you ask someone to try to do something, what does that mean to you?
It's almost like failure.
Are
Yeah,
you just
yeah,
my
trying.
daughter was 6 when I asked her that. I said, if my mama tells you to try to have a good day, what does that mean to you? And she'd go, And I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, you don't know what my try is. And it's true. So we work on not using that in our vocabulary. But the first thing I tell someone is sit down and make a list of your pros and your cons. And I want you to weigh out which one's heavier, your pros or your
Mm-hmm.
cons, and then go from there. We tend to overthink things and let things just spin and spin and spin in our mind. Once you put it out onto paper, you can kind of see a little bit more clarity that
Mm-hmm.
way. So once you write it down on paper, it's almost like someone else is telling it to you. Because who do we lie to the most? Ourselves. So if you put it onto paper, at least you can get an idea of what's spinning around, and it'll give you more focus as to, okay, so let's see how we can tackle it. But we're not going to tackle it as a whole. We're going to tackle it, I call it a grocery list. We're going to tackle it one item at a time. Because if you're a person who has ADD, ADHD, or even a procrastinator like me, if you have this big, huge list, you're just going to shut down and walk away. But if
Yeah.
you have this big, huge list, but only see what's on the first line, then that's only one task.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll do that one task.
That is so true. So
So
good.
break
That's
it
good.
down into small little pieces.
Mm-hmm.
That way it doesn't seem overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. I think that's so big. I love how you said that, because I think sometimes like writing down, I don't think people really understand the power in just writing shit down, because I feel I feel sometimes that spirit talks to me whenever that pen's in my hand,
Well,
and
there's
it
a
like
term for
helps.
it. It's
What is
actually
that?
called automatic writing.
Really?
So say somebody, that's one of the first things I learned whenever I was learning to be a medium. So it's called automatic writing. You close your eyes and you take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth, clearing your mind. If you can't clear your mind, do that exercise with counting your breaths until your mind's clear. And then you ask whatever question it is that you want to ask, and write whatever pops in your head. It doesn't have to make sense. That's why I say always use a grocery list, because your OCD doesn't have to form complete sentences. You're making lines. Write it down. Then, after nothing else comes to your mind, read it back, and that's your answers.
Mm-hmm.
And that has helped so many people. So many people.
Oh
Because,
yeah.
I mean, you overthink things. But basically,
Mm-hmm.
when you're writing it down, you're telling the universe, you take this shit, I don't want it in my head anymore. And just like if you have a secret or something's bothering you, once you say it, don't you feel a little bit better? It's the same thing with writing it. It's getting it out of here and putting it here.
Right. Look, I'm a big fan of that exact thing, and I feel like that's why it's so important to journal, especially like if for me, like if I'm going through like a hard time, or if I'm confused about some stuff, or I want answers, writing. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I'll spend a couple hours writing. So that's my go-to. You know.
And then I have the people who resist, and they're like, well, I don't want people to read what I write. Well, then burn it after. Tear it up,
Yeah.
burn it,
If it means that much to you, fuck. I look, me personally,
set it free.
I want somebody like after I pass to be like,
Hmm.
dang, Mo went through all that. You know what I'm
I
saying?
have,
Like I
you
feel like
say
I
that,
don't know.
but I actually have all of my sister's notebooks from when she was in rehab and when she was doing all of her journaling, and I can't read them.
Really.
Yeah, I've tried several times and I can't read them.
Hmm.
There's messages to me, there's messages to other people. I can't bring myself to read them.
Oh,
I really can't. I'm not ready yet. One day I might be, but I'm not ready
yeah,
yet.
yeah, definitely. It's okay. It's a journey, you know. It's
Hmm.
no rush. It's no marathon.
Well, to
So
me, I feel like that's her personal
yeah,
business, and
that's
I can't
that
bring
that
myself to do it.
that's another thing too. You know, a while back, look, I actually recorded like a 42 minute like solo podcast, and I went on like on this tangent about the energy and how to how to tap into it, and how we could channel our energy, and how we could better control it, and all this good stuff. And I ended up not even posting that episode because for me, like, it was very deep stuff. Like, I was
Mm-hmm.
very like,
It
man,
was
should I
things you
post this
needed to
one?
get out, though. But it was things you needed to get out, and you felt better
One
after.
100% yes. But like, I let my wife listen to it, and she was like, babe, she said, I personally would not release that, because she said this is more like your own personal diary.
Mm-hmm.
So and I never
Your
released that episode,
vulnerability.
but
Yeah.
yeah. But it
Yeah.
was for me, like, I was pumped up to release it, because I swear, like, I was in the shower, taking a shower, and I was listening to Eckhart Tolle. Have you ever heard of Eckhart Tolle by chance?
Mm-mm.
The Power of Now, he wrote, and it's basically just being about the present time and all this good stuff. So, but in that part of the book, he was just talking about, like your thoughts, like, just do whatever you feel, like whatever your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts basically tell you, because it's God feeding you whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, fuck, I'm going to record a motherfucking podcast, and like, it's fucking 12:30 at nighttime, and here I am recording a damn podcast. But it was good stuff. So, and I, like, there again, I don't know what the fuck I went to that again for. But anyways.
It's okay. You had to be reminded about it. I do that. I have that effect on people, though. Like, I'll have people come here, and I mean, you've been to my studio before. It's a safe
Mhm.
space. And
Yeah,
I'll have people
definitely.
sitting down and they're talking to me and they're looking at me and they're like, I don't know why I just told you that. And I'm like, it's okay. You just needed to get it out. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's
Hmm.
okay. I get that a lot. And it's okay.
It happens
You
in
just
public too, huh?
yeah. I have certain friends that won't go with me to like Walmart and the grocery store and stuff because, well, one girl, she was like, I can't even get through the store and go get what we need to get without like you talking to five people that you don't even know. Like but people just they just feel calm and relaxed around me, and I guess I mean it's my energy, it's what I do. But sometimes I do kind of do the duck and weave. I don't feel like talking to people on certain days. Some
Yeah.
days I get like that. Everybody
Hmm.
gets like that, and
Absolutely.
you just
Absolutely.
tired of talking for a while. So, I mean,
That's how I be at the gym sometimes. Like, I'm that
mhm.
person that wants to be there for everybody, and you know what I'm saying? That hype man, and just helping you with shit or whatever.
But you have to make sure you taking care of yourself too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
I get
like,
that.
some days I just want to fucking go in there, and like, if I could just have a hat that says "Not today,"
Mhm.
please, not today. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Wear you a
But
t-shirt. This is precaution, like not today. Put your hip hop hand. No, don't. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. That happens to me sometimes. You get burnt out. I mean, and you can't let
right,
yourself get burnt out. But
right.
you have to do it for your own mental clarity. And I have friends that whenever I'm really, really busy and they know I'm really busy, they'll actually send me a text message that says, "What have you done for yourself today?"
That's
Or
good.
how
That's
are you
good. You need
taking care
that.
of yourself? So, this year, it's so funny because my New Year's resolution this year is to be selfish. And I had somebody say, "What? Oh, that's just wrong." And I said, "No, I want to be selfish with my time. I want to be selfish with my energy, and I want to be selfish with my love." Meaning that I'm not going to give myself to every single person that thinks they deserve it. I'm going
Hmm.
to be selfish with it. I'm going to tell people no. I am going to stand up for myself for once. And that's what I chose to do this year.
That's nice.
So
It's
far, so
something.
good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's. I was just talking to one of my friends yesterday, and we were talking about like boundaries and stuff like that, because I feel like I let myself be available to too many people
Mm-hmm.
too often, too much, and I feel
And
like
I
that's
get
something I
that
need to
totally.
cut cut back on. Like, hey, look, like, I know that this person probably just wants to bullshit and just gossip about bullshit. So like, if
Mm-hmm.
if this person texts me or calls me, I'm probably not going to answer, or you know what I'm saying? And it's not to be
I
ugly or anything like
Well, I
that. It's
feel
just to
like
protect
too
my
with
energy,
social media and cell phones, people feel like they have 24 access to you, and that's not fair.
Right. Right.
It's not fair. Like, I constantly have people in my inbox asking me questions. Okay, I get it. But it's also my livelihood too. If I could do this for free for everybody, believe me, I would. But I have to pay my bills. I have to pay rent for my
Yeah.
studio. I have all these things. But then you have people in my inbox going, well, I just need you to give me a little snippet of what you do because I need to believe in you. Sweetheart, it's not my job to prove myself to you. I can give a shit less if you believe in me or not. Move on, but I can't be mean like that. I can't say those things. And
Why?
then, so then because
Why
then
not?
it blows up on me and I'm the bitch. So I mean, they're like, oh, well, you're just after money. If I was just after money, do y'all realize that for a psychic medium reading, I charge $85? That's it, $85. There is not a single person that charges less than $250 an hour, and I charge $85. So yeah, if I was just for the money, believe me, hun, that's what I would be charging. But I do it because when you come to me, you need something. You're seeking answers, you're seeking help. And I want to make sure that you don't have to choose getting those answers or eating this week. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
right. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
my
definitely.
sympathy part of it. But I still have to eat this week. And I am not doing a 9 to 5 job so that I can be here. I've given that up. So, but I want to help you. But that's how. But yeah, people take advantage of it. They really, really, really take advantage of it. And some days it gets to me. And some days I just want to say, you know what, fuck you. But I don't.
Hmm.
Haven't in a while. So, I mean, but even like, I'll get text messages in the morning. I have a text message right now from someone who wanted to make an appointment and never responded to me until today and wants the appointment today. No, but
I,
that's how
I,
people work.
yeah, I hate when people do
That's,
shit like that. That's so
yeah,
so rude. You know what I
it
mean?
is.
And
I mean, you had an appointment booked for Saturday through my website for tomorrow morning. You contacted me last weekend. I contacted you right after and said, here's my phone number. You don't even have to email me. And they wanted the appointment for Friday morning instead. Well, guess what? It's 11 o'clock and they just sent the message wanting the appointment today. Yeah, no, boo. Mm-mm, not happening. You had a
right,
whole week. And I
hmm,
understand life gets in the way, but I have a life as well.
right.
And I get that often, and you have to set those boundaries. You got to
Hmm.
set those boundaries. It's a learning curve. It's a learning
Absolutely,
process.
absolutely. And it's, yeah, people, situations, all of that stuff. Yeah, you're right.